Well, today at a Tulare County judge upheld the decision to send a convicted child killer to death row. 26-year-old Christopher Cho was sentenced to death this afternoon, months after a jury found him guilty of murdering, raping, and torturing 3-year-old Sophia Casta. May 6, 2011. A sunny Saturday at Mooney Grove Park in Visalia. 3-year-old Sophia is glowing with happiness. She is surrounded by her family. The little princess in her favorite outfit is smiling, not knowing that these are some of the last happy moments in her short life. May 7th, 2:43 p.m. The emergency services dispatcher heard a scream that made her blood freeze in her veins. "My daughter isn't breathing. She's only 3 years old. Help us." When paramedics burst into apartment number 9 and exit, they found the same girl who was laughing in the park yesterday, but now she was lying on the floor, wet, naked, barely alive. At the hospital, doctors saw what would remain in their memory forever. Sophia had blood flowing from her eyes, mouth, and genitals. Dr. Philip Hayden, who had seen much in 25 years of working with abuse victims, would be shocked. "This is the only case in my practice where a child on life support was bleeding from the anus." For 4 days, Sophia fought for her life, connected to life support machines while her family prayed for a miracle that never came. And the monster cloaked in sheep's clothing was already preparing his lies.
Did you beat her?
I never laid hands on Sophia to harm her.
Did you molest Sophia?
No, I would never.
5 years later, when the case went to trial, the graphic details of what little Sophia endured were so horrifying that her great-grandfather, Sam Coronado, made a painful decision. He would come alone to every hearing more than 100 court days to shield the rest of the family from these unbearable details. This case is not going to be easy for anybody to look at, but we have to discuss that. Today, we will tell the whole truth about Sophia Casta. Prepare for a story that will forever change your understanding of how fragile a child's life can be. What turned a happy family day into a medical nightmare? What happened to the girl in those fateful 18 hours? Why was one person potentially facing the death penalty while the other remained invisible? Friends, before we dive into this painful but vitally important story, I must ask for your help. Every like, every subscription, every repost of this video, this is a chance for another child to stay alive. Share this story everywhere you can and leave your city with viewing time in the comments. It's important for me to know where people are ready to protect children. This story, like many others on my channel, can teach us to recognize danger where others would see normally. This story is not just a tragedy. It's a lesson that can help us save a child. On February 5th, 2008, in the small California town of Exeter, Sophia Maria Costa was born. Her parents, 20-year-old Erica Smith and Obi A. Costa, were a young couple full of hopes. Obi worked as a long-haul trucker. Erica stayed home with the baby. An ordinary family with ordinary problems. Sophia was a special child, calm and gentle. She immediately filled the house with joy. Obi would be away for long stretches on his routes, and returning each time, he was amazed at how much his little girl had grown. In August 2009, when Sophia was a year and a half old, her sister Alexa was born. Sophia immediately took on the role of big sister, sharing toys, running to comfort the crying baby faster than mom. Their special bond was visible to everyone. A sunny child. That's what the extended family who helped the young mother with the baby said about Sophia. Not because she possessed any particular talents. She was special for her ability to make people happy just by being around. But the birth of the second child became a test for the young family. By the beginning of 2010, the parents had separated. Obi moved to Livingston, 40 miles from Exit. After the divorce, Erica received full custody of the girls. Initially, Obi was supposed to see his daughters on weekends, but a trucker's routes didn't follow visitation schedules. Visits became fewer and fewer. His grandfather, Sam Coronado, supported Erica financially in his grandson's absence. Erica completely immersed herself in work and raising her daughters. She tried to give them the very best. The girls spent a lot of time on the lawn near the apartment, and on weekends, Mom would take them to the park where they enjoyed walks. Sophia's bright personality blossomed. She loved coloring, dressing up, playing princess. Little Alexa was the constant companion of her games. The girls looked at the world with wide, open, curious eyes, not suspecting the changes that lay ahead. Until September 2010, Sophia's life, though not perfect, had been relatively peaceful. Every day, she would visit her great-grandmother, Ruth, who adored the little girl. I remember her sleeping in my bed with me and, holding my hand, said, "Nana, I love you, Nana." She never wanted to go home, recalls Ruth Williams. She always wanted to stay with me until he showed up. She was at my house every single day. Christopher Cheery, a 19-year-old man, moved in with Erica and the girls in September 2010 into their apartment unit number 9 at the Exit Apartments complex. Erica was only 23 and had her own struggles with drugs, but she claimed she wanted to help Christopher kick his heroin addiction. How naive that sounds in hindsight. A young mother of 2 small children was going to save a drug addict with a criminal past. With Christopher's arrival, Sophia's life changed drastically. The light and joy that had always surrounded this little girl began to fade. She stopped visiting her great-grandmother every day. She was no longer the carefree princess she had once been. Christopher Cheery demanded the girls call him Dad, but the girls didn't understand why. They already had a father. Erica admitted something horrifying to a neighbor. Christopher routinely beat her. He choked her, slammed her against walls, and the reason was monstrous in its absurdity. The children refused to call him Dad. Sophia's babysitter, Carly Vega, began noticing changes in the little girl's behavior. Sophia, who had once been so open and cheerful, became fearful and anxious. Most alarmingly, she started telling her babysitter, "Please don't tell my dad," referring to Christopher. Carly saw Christopher spanking them way too hard and playing with them too rough. She tried talking to Erica, but Erica refused to listen. Another babysitter noticed bruises under Sophia's eyes and constantly heard the little girl complain that her bottom hurt. In March 2011, an incident occurred that should have been the final warning. Sophia's baby sister suffered a broken leg. Christopher told Erica they had been at the playground and the child twisted her leg on the slide. But doctors at the hospital said the injury looked more like the result of a fall, a broken leg in a toddler, changing explanations, bruises on the older sister. Yet no one questioned Erica's ability to keep her daughters safe. Meanwhile, Sophia continued living in this nightmare. Neighbors noticed that after Christopher moved in, Sophia, Alexa, and their mother almost never came outside. They seemed to vanish from the apartment complex's communal life. It was a classic case of domestic violence isolation. May 6, 2011 was a rare happy day for the girls. Erica and Christopher took them to Mooney Grove Park in Visalia. May 7, 2011. That Saturday morning, Sophia woke up unaware it would be the last day of her short but love-filled life. She was only 3 years, 2 months, and 2 days old. She was awakened by shouting. Erica and Christopher were arguing. Erica later couldn't recall what the fight was about, but she knew Christopher was angry. And when he was angry, he became especially dangerous. To calm him down, Erica decided to go to Visalia to buy heroin. She took 2 buses to purchase $20 to $30 worth of drugs, leaving her 3-year-old and 1.5-year-old daughters alone with an agitated man. When Erica returned home around noon, she and Christopher used heroin together. Afterward, Christopher gave Sophia a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and took her and Alexa upstairs for a nap. Erica, exhausted from the trip and the drugs, also fell asleep. Christopher had other plans for that time. His drug-fueled, depraved mind drove him to commit a horrific act of violence against little Sophia. When the girl tried to scream and resist, Chris punched her hard in the abdomen. For a tiny 3-year-old, that was more than enough to knock her unconscious. Her mother slept soundly in her room while Sophia was sexually assaulted. But the monster wasn't done. When Sophia, choking on vomit, weakly called out for her mother, he realized she could expose what he had done. That sealed her fate. Chris delivered a series of blows to her head. Then, for good measure, slammed her skull against the floor. He might have finished the job, but he heard Erica stirring from the bedroom. Christopher screamed, "Erica, something's wrong with Sophia." Erica rushed to the room and saw her 3-year-old daughter lying on the floor of the nursery. Sophia was unconscious, covered in vomit, with only one eye slightly open. The little princess who had brought joy to everyone around her now lay dying on the cold floor. A victim of unimaginable cruelty at the hands of a man her mother had led into their home. The emergency call came in at 2:43 p.m. Erica's voice was shaking with panic. "My daughter isn't breathing. She's only 3 years old. Please help us." While the terrified mother was calling 911, Christopher grabbed unconscious Sophia and carried her to the bathroom. There, he quickly washed the little girl. Of course, this wasn't care. Finally realizing what he had done, Christopher was trying to cover up the evidence of his crime. When paramedics burst into apartment number 9, they saw a scene that would stay with them forever. Sophia lay on the living room floor on a towel, tiny, wet, naked. Christopher stood just a few steps away from her looking nervous and scared. Erica was crying outside in front of the apartment. Sophia was immediately rushed to Kawi Delta Hospital in Dazilia. Emergency room doctors immediately knew this wasn't an ordinary accident. Experienced nurses couldn't hold back their tears. When the little girl was moved from the ambulance stretcher to the hospital bed, there was blood underneath her. But the most horrifying discovery came when doctors examined Sophia's body. The 3-year-old girl had bleeding from her genitals, eyes, and mouth, bruises on her abdomen and buttocks, and signs of severe head trauma. The girl's condition was so critical that she was emergency airlifted to Children's Hospital Central in Mata, a specialized facility for the most serious cases. While doctors fought for Sophia's life, an exit police detective began his investigation. What he discovered in the apartment made him shudder. The bed in the child's bedroom was soaked with blood. Sophia's blanket was covered with vomit and feces. Downstairs in the living room lay a suspicious pile of pillows and blankets, some with dried blood stains. But the most horrifying discovery was yet to come. When the apartment complex custodian came to clean the apartment after police left, he found a condom wrapper and an object he described as a sex toy in the child's bedroom. Test results came back from the hospital. They found traces of marijuana in Sophia's blood. A 3-year-old child had been exposed to drugs in her own home. At the Children's Hospital, a team of doctors desperately tried to save Sophia. An MRI showed catastrophic damage to Sophia's brain. For 4 days, Sophia fought for her life connected to life support machines. On May 11, 2011, at 7:20 p.m., while Obi held his little daughter's hand, the life support machines were turned off. Sophia Maria Costa, who was only 3 years, 2 months, and 6 days old, died from injuries inflicted by someone her mother had so thoughtlessly brought into their home. The autopsy results were shocking. Cause of death: multiple blunt force trauma. Sophia died from skull fracture, massive brain hemorrhage, oxygen deprivation, and sexual assault. All medical experts agreed on one thing. 3-year-old Sophia had been tortured and sexually assaulted before her death. For a month after Sophia's death, Christopher Cheery lived freely, telling anyone who would listen his version of events. He even gave an interview to local television, claiming that Sophia had hit her head on a small metal shopping cart next to the bed. "I was exactly right at the head of her bed on the floor where her head was. Then she was still wrapped in a blanket and everything. So it seemed like she had rolled off, or it either like, fell somehow. I would honestly give my life for that little girl to be alive. I would gladly switch Sophia positions like in a heartbeat."
If you're enjoying this story, kindly do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. It is free and won't cost anything, but it means the world to us. We're just a small channel trying to grow. Thank you, and back to the video.
On June 3, 2011, Christopher Cheery was charged with 1 count of murder with special circumstances of torture, sodomy, and lewd and lascivious acts. He was also charged with assault of a child causing death, sodomy, and forcible lewd acts on a child. When the case went to trial in 2016, 5 years after Sophia's death, horrifying details began to emerge about how many people knew about the danger, but did nothing. Two of Sophia's babysitters, a neighbor, and most horrifying of all, girl's own mother, they all knew about Christopher's abusive behavior. When Erica Smith finally took the stand as a witness, her testimony shocked even experienced lawyers. She admitted that Christopher regularly abused her and threatened to kill. There were times where he choked me out and pushed me against the wall. There was times that he threw picture frames at me. There was times that just verbally abusive, belittling me, secluding me, making me feel worthless. But the most incredible part, she claimed she trusted him with the children and saw no reason to think otherwise. Christopher's lawyers desperately tried to find an alternative explanation for Sophia's death. They claimed that Sophia had a rare blood clotting disorder. The injuries could have been caused by paramedics during resuscitation. No fresh blood was found in the apartment. Christopher's DNA was not found on Sophia's body, but medical experts methodically destroyed each defense argument. More than 10 doctors testified that Sophia's death was the result of extreme cruelty. The prosecutor pointed out the obvious. Sophia was wet when she was found. Christopher had washed away the evidence in the bathroom before help arrived. On November 14, 2016, after intense deliberation, the jury returned its verdict. Guilty on all charges. On January 31, 2017, Judge Joseph Kalashin officially sentenced Christopher Cherry to death. Christopher Cherry was sent to death row at San Quentin Prison. But in 2019, California Governor Gavin Newsom imposed a moratorium on the death penalty. Sophia's family was deeply outraged. Sophia is buried at Winton Cemetery. Her family and community members laid her to rest. The small closed coffin was a symbol of a destroyed childhood in an indifferent adult world. 1.5-year-old Alexa was taken by Child Protective Services right from the hospital where she had been brought along with her dying sister Sophia. The custody battle lasted 8 months. Obi had to prove he was capable of being a father. In December 2011, the court finally granted Alexa to her father. The girl was already 2 years old, but she wasn't speaking. Psychologists diagnosed severe trauma. Alexa had been in that room when Christopher tortured her sister. She saw or heard what no child should ever witness. Years of therapy helped her speak again, but nightmares still haunt her to this day. A children's bench was installed in Farmersville in Sophia's memory. Grown-up Alexa and the entire extended family were present there. What about Erica Smith? The mother who left her daughter with a monster was never held accountable. She only lost custody of her younger daughter, Alexa, but was never charged with child endangerment or neglect. The district attorney deemed her a victim, not an accomplice. Many believe this was a grave injustice. Sophia Maria Costa lived 1 in 183 days. She loved princesses, coloring, and said, "I love you," to everyone who was dear to her. She deserved to live, laugh, grow, and become everything she dreamed of being. Instead, the system failed her at every step. And most tragically, the person who should have protected her most of all, her own mother, chose drugs and a questionable man over her daughter's safety. Rest in peace, little angel Sophia.
If you're enjoying this story, kindly do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. It is free and won't cost anything, but it means the world to us. We're just a small channel trying to grow. Thank you, and back to the video.